How do you know where to spend your small business marketing efforts and dollars if you don't know exactly where your customers are coming from? We find this especially true in the world of Google and Facebook ads. Today's Blunt Force Business podcast is all about attribution, and if you stick around to the end, we'll give you a 5-step process for getting a better handle on how customers find you, preparing you to grow your business with confidence.
Hey, welcome back to Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian Fauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And you attribute your name to your mommy and daddy. See, that was bad.
You always find a weird way to start the podcast.
Weird.
Always.
We're going to talk about attributions today, and I wanted to find a weird way to do that. So I'll let you.
You did really quickly. It was like right off the cuff.
Yeah. I'll let you fix my fuck up. So attributions, give us a blunt force fact and talk us through what we mean by talking about attributions today.
Today's blunt force fact is you can't know what to do next until you know what you did. And we're going to relate that to any activity you do as a business owner and trying to figure out, okay, well, if we made money or we didn't make money, what were we doing? What activities resulted in the money being made or not being made? And the more you dial that in, then you can plan what to do next. And the basic example being paid advertising, right? And if you can pay for advertising and you can see where, or I shouldn't say that. I should say more basically, I mean, Brian, you probably, like whenever I start off a new relationship with a client, I ask them how they get their current business. Do you ever ask that question? What are some common answers you get to that question? Like, how do you bring in customers right now?
Oh yeah. So what are common ways people say they do that right now?
Yeah. Common answers to that question.
Okay. How I bring clients, word of mouth, right?
Yep.
Is probably the number one answer. We do have some people that have very specific lanes. And so all of their, all their traffic comes from these like very unique lanes, right? So it might be, well, I have a referral source here and they send a ton of business my way. I would say a lot of people who are utilizing advertising aren't tracking effectively when leads are coming from specific advertising arenas.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. They're not doing a good enough job of, and the advertising is a big piece of it. We can talk about attribution from so many standpoints. Like when you close a deal, what did you do that you attribute that deal to closing, right? What happened that you did it? Advertising is I think one of the most important places to start in the funnel because it's the biggest area where we're usually spending money indiscriminately, right? Is that the right word? Where
I think indiscriminately is the right word. Yeah. I think a lot of companies just pay indiscriminately. They just, if you look at their books or if you look at their accounts, it's like, oh, there's like, $3,000 is going out the door every month to these several activities, to Facebook, to Google, to the radio, to the newspaper.
That I hear all the time. Yeah. Like, oh, I did this ad campaign with this company and I don't know what I got out of it. All the time. That is very, very
I got nothing out of it.
They may, the other thing too is they may think they got nothing out of it, but they actually got something out of it.
I think that happens. That happens more often than I think most companies would know or would like to admit, right? And it's like they just want to say like, oh, it didn't work, instead of not really knowing if it worked or not. Like I had that happen with a lot of it's based on feel, right? And that's what we're trying to do away with is feel. Like I work with a contractor who's just like, look, like I don't know if I want to keep doing the Facebook, Instagram advertising because they just don't feel like I don't feel like they're good ads. I don't feel like they're good leads. I feel like they don't convert. They're hard to get a hold of, and I just don't like getting them. And then meanwhile, I dug in to the numbers, and so I looked to see, okay, well, where did their current bookings come from? And I would literally go line by line, attribute to the lead form that they filled out. And then I figured out that the Meta, Facebook, Instagram advertising was driving the whole business. Like
Oh,
that was what
really?
was driving the business forward because that's where these people were coming from. Now, from the owner's perspective, he was just like, well, look, I'm answering the phone and these people are just not the people I want. Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and so like there is a cost to answering bad leads, but if the leads that you are getting are turning into the driving force of your business, and obviously you need to know that too. You know, I think that's the key. That's the key. And then the other piece is just not knowing. We just know the lights are on, and that's it. We just know, we keep getting new business. We pay this amount. I mean, I think that the challenge then is not just it's not just the not knowing. It's also like, well, what if something bad happens? What if a channel goes down? You don't really realize it. What if, cost per lead goes up on one of these digital platforms and you started to see like a slowdown in business, but you can't attribute it. You can't figure it out why. You lose track of a lead source. One of your referral sources stops giving you those referrals. You know what I mean? Like these are things that you need to have a good handle on, because like ultimately, if your goal is to scale and improve your business and not only protect yourself from going down, but actually raise things, knowing that you're getting a good return on advertising or on any sales or marketing activity will help you put more effort into that activity going forward, whether it's effort
Yeah,
or
I
money.
think you and when we talk about advertising and effort, this comes down to all things you are doing to generate business. Be taking a step back. To me, this is a great conscious effort in, all right, what I'm going to do one time a month or one time a quarter is I'm going to look at all the client base I got right now that I have. And I'm going to just rank it, rack and stack them. Like, where did this one come from? Where did that one come from? Where did that one come from? Some of them you may say, I don't know. And then you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world to go back and ask, to say, hey, just for the record, when you first came to us, how did you hear about us? They may say, I don't remember, right? But at the end of the day, we talk a lot about putting time aside to get like real data on this stuff. This resonates with me really well right now because we are creatures of habit. And one of the things that I like to do a lot, and you and I have talked about this, is I like to network. So as a result, I'm part of some networking groups. I am on autopilot with those networking groups. I wake up that morning, I do my thing, I go to the group. And recently I had pushed out a flyer invite to the group, to one of the groups. The group's got like 30 people in it. I had emailed it to them in advance, and then I pushed it out in the meeting. And it was an invite, and it was a nonprofit invite. And I frequently, like in that group, very frequently, people are like, hey, come support this nonprofit, come support that nonprofit. And I do get business out of this group, right? There's definitely people who've given me business out of this group. But I've been in the group now for probably 6 years. And um, and then I was looking at our registration link for the nonprofit thing, and I'm like, none of them are on there. Not, and it just got my mind. It got my mind thinking a little bit, and and then I started to do this process that you and I are talking about right now. I'm like, let me just go person by person in this group, and think in the last year who's fed me, right? Who has been a lead for me, just like advertising, right? Where because it's the same thing as paying for Facebook and setting and forgetting it, right? I'm giving them human capital. I may not, well, I'm giving them money too to be part of the group, but I'm also giving my time every week. I'm giving them my time every week. And then I got to the realization that, all right, the 4 or 5 people in this group who sometimes push me leads are the same 4 or 5 people and have been for like the last year and a half. The other 20 something people, they don't do anything for me. I already have a strong relationship with those other 4. I think it's time I go. I mean, this
Right.
time
So you
I
don't actually
shit.
have to go to the meeting in order to have a
Not
relationship with those
anymore.
4 or 5
Not
people.
anymore. No, it's already like I can call them. We can like those are people that I now have a friendship with. And I don't need to go to that group for that to maintain. I've been doing this probably for 2 years longer than I should have because of exactly what you're talking about, right? Not taking the time to take a step back and attribute what I'm doing on a daily basis, whether it be paid advertisement or boots on the ground. I consider this boots on the ground advertisement. I have to go there every week and give my little spiel, right? And create relationships. Um and
Yeah, and that's an opportunity cost because maybe in that
Oh,
time you could have
massive
joined
opportunity cost. It's an hour drive.
a
It's
different group.
fucking yeah. Yeah, it's so I drive an hour, I'm there an hour, I drive back an hour. It's 3 hours every week, and that's 12 hours a month. That's a work day a month I can get back. And I'm not gonna get it back. I'm gonna probably just find another group, right? And then reestablish that same thing, um,
Because you can
that I
create
did
3
with
or 4 relationships in the other group. Now you've got
right, right. And to your point, what we do often is we do things and we don't assess them well enough. And I think this is a great conversation of we tell everyone to do this with their finances, right? So we
right.
tell everyone you got to sit down, you got to know your numbers, you got to review them. How many times do we take that same process for how we're obtaining customers and do a holistic review of marketing dollars, time spent on boots on the ground, networking and advertising, right? And what's really working. And I I'd say that we don't, and you'd agree, we don't do it enough. And it
Yeah,
was
I think
only
most
this one realization of this stupid little invite. And the only reason I did it, to be honest, is because I was a little ass hurt. I was like, these motherfuckers. Like I go to their golf tournaments, I get like I do and once in 6 years, I'm like, come support this nonprofit, and I got a 0 response on like the guys I'm close with, I pinged them directly and they were like valid. Okay, they couldn't do it, right? But everyone else, like all of you that I've given and supported to, like couldn't even take the time to reach back out and say, hey, I can't make that. I was like, my time value is not being well spent here.
and
And it took
getting to the
yeah.
blunt force fact, it's like, how do you know what you're going to do going forward? Like, you're going to keep going to the group or not? Like, until you know what that group has accomplished for you, you can't, until you had that moment, you couldn't make your decision was wrong, right? It was, well, not wrong, but like, it wasn't a well thought out decision, right? The
No,
decision
no,
to change
it was
groups.
reactionary,
Yep.
but when I dug in, I should have done it a year and a half ago, right? If I'd
Yep.
done what you said, I would have done a year and a half ago.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the lesson is really simple. The lesson right now is so I had the 4 steps that we were going to talk about at the end of this, but now I'm adding the 5th. So the probably the most important thing you could do right now, if you haven't been doing this, is make a list of all the ways you bring in business. Every single way. Whether it's
Yeah.
a postcard, whether it's social media advertising, whether it's the one advertisement you run every year in the local paper, whether it's the relationship that you have that you're using to lean on for referrals, with whether it's a networking group, and then whether it's some other paid channels. You have to list whether it's we have some of these contractors who have trucks with signage on them. So one of the categories is saw truck. You know what I mean? Like, so like every possible way. What are all the possible ways somebody could be finding you? And then obviously, as you go through it and you learn more about the people that you have, as you ask the question, whether it's a survey or whatever you do, um, you might discover more. Like, oh,
Well,
we knew about you because of whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so you might discover more. So that list can change, but making the list is definitely step one.
um, what I love about us doing these calls is every once in a while, well, not every once in a while, almost always, as you and I are talking through these processes and what we do well and what we need to tweak, and giving advice to people on what they need to tweak. There's a learning process that happens with us too every time as well. And I'll always think about a missing step. Always. Like we'll have a call, we'll record a podcast like this, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's a step missing for me." And I write down so I'll share with the group the step that I'm missing right now that I'm going to add in, because they may have a similar step they're missing. Many of us have a calendar app for scheduling. Okay.
Yep.
And in that calendar app, when someone schedules with me for the first time, they give all their data. And what I don't have in that registration form is, where did you find us? I don't have
It's
that.
got to be a
And
field,
and and
100%.
now and now it's in there, right? So I mean, I've asked people that. Inevitably, the first call I ask people that, like, "Oh, where'd you hear about us?" But I'm not capturing the data where now that's a recall thing, right? Now it's just I have to recall what people said. So I'm going to capture it before the first call just from this conversation, which was
And you have to, if you have other people receiving the leads, like if you have like a receptionist answering the phone, or if you have a phone service, or whether you just have other people who, whether it's another contractor who works with you, you should have some sort of intake form, right? And this needs to be a question on there, and it needs to be a required question, right? Like if it needs to be a required field, and as part of your training, you need to have that in there.
yeah.
You know, how did you find out about us?
And I think what's interesting is a lot of us can think about, we may be doing this. Because some people who listen to us might say, "Yeah, I do that." Okay, but do you do it in every touch point? Because if you're not doing it at all the ways people could come in, like you just said, right? You just brought up the fact that, how do you know if your Facebook marketing is working? How do you know if the networking's working? How do you know if this is or that is working? Well, if you don't have a way to capture it in all of this, and I was capturing it, but not in that space, right? Not right there. Not when somebody just clicks and books a consult with me. I wasn't capturing it in that thing. So it's like, yes, you may think you're doing it, but are you really are you set up? Do you have the automations and the systems where you're capturing these attributions in all the ways people are coming in? How do you do it when it's like in a networking setting? Well, some of that might be manual, right? You got to remember, "Oh yeah, this person came to me because that guy that's in my group with me." And then you got to find a way to, where does that data live?
There's
Because
a
at
lot
the
of
end of it,
professional relationships like that too. So like I'm thinking like PTs and doctors, or similar things like that, lawyers and investigators. I mean, like there's a lot of, contractors who do certain gigs, like landscapers and masons. Like I mean, there's a lot of relationships like that where you might be the leech, or you might be the one who's providing too much, right? And I mean, like one of the reasons I'm hesitant sometimes to do the networking like you do, Brian, is like I sometimes feel like I'm the leech, and I don't have the contacts that I can provide back. So I just disengage from the relationship. Like I know
yeah.
I can't provide to you what you're looking for. So rather
Well,
than get all of
I
the
think I would, that I don't agree with you there. I think you
right, yeah.
provide more. Yeah. But
Right, but I mean, like
because
in
I think,
either event, like you want to know where you stand in the relationship, especially if you depend on it, right? So if you're in one of these kind of, you have to make sure that you are getting what you need back, because if
yeah,
you're not getting what you need back, you need to find other relationships that might be better for you. And if you're not
yeah,
tracking it, then like if you're a landscaper and you're giving every patio to the same person, and then that person is not giving you work back, is there
nothing,
another
not
person?
giving you nothing.
Exactly. Is there another person I could use for the patio who's more likely to recommend me in the future? Right.
Yeah,
And I think that's the networking piece that you were talking about.
yeah,
But I think
yeah.
that
I
it's
mean,
go on, sorry.
no, at the end of the day, what you just talked about, I think a lot of people feel, right? It's, well, how could I be of help to anyone? And what I've found in the good networking groups, it's you find that people don't need a lot from you. They just need to be thought of, right? Just need to be thought of in the natural occurring settings of life. Oh, you're looking to decorate your new office. Okay, well, here's this person, right? Like that stuff, these weird one-off things that happen. If you are in a networking group and you can make 2 good referrals to the people in that group once a year, that's a massive value, because think about the multiplier. Because if a group's 20 people and everyone's doing that, they're getting 40 good referrals a year, right? So you don't have to be the everything for them. They get some really unique, and there's some that I never will have a referral for. Like there's realtors in my group. I got my realtor. And I know whenever I have anything, that I know who that referral is going to. There's an insurance guy in the group. Well, my real estate business partner owns an insurance company. He's getting all my insurance. But they know that it is what. So there's, but there's also these other, like, interesting. I got a guy that sells office furniture. So every once in a while, I've bought from him, and I think, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but you don't have to be the everything for everyone. You just, you gotta, but to the point of
I should
attribution,
have known. I should have known it was going to take a tangent when I talk about
it did took a
networking,
tangent, but
Mr.
let's go to the point of attribution, because
Yeah.
here's the reality of that one group that I've been talking a lot about today. Most people in that group should leave. 100% they should leave at this point. Some people in that group have been there almost 30 years. There is no way that like the relationships they've already established are there. They are not getting any other benefit out of this. None. So to continue to going is silly. And I think
It's the same. I think it's the same for like a company. Imagine there's like a company that was always advertising on Channel 12.
right.
They just do it every year. We do the advertisements on Channel 12, Channel 12, Channel 12. And then, like, if you're not paying attention to that, you won't have noticed that, like, well, I don't know if you've noticed, but not many people watch that anymore, or they're older, or, you know what I mean? Like, or, like, and if you're not looking at the return on that, then, like, it's easy to just lose a ton of money and effort putting into something that's
Yes.
not working.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that's
Yep.
the goal. And I don't want to look at it always as the negative, like you're wasting energy and wasting space. I think we should look at it the positive, like for the person who is making a lot of money with a paid advertising channel, then if you have the capacity to take on more work, you should try and scale that channel. That's your opportunity. You should put more money into it. And then you see where the breaking point is, right? You see
Right.
where the breaking point is. Like if I put in 10% more, does that result in 10% more customers? Does it result in an exponent, like a 20%,
Right.
30%
Right.
lift? Like what does adding more money to this get me? And then there's going to be a point of declining returns. You can't just keep adding stuff in it, or your capacity breaks, or whatever, something breaks. But like you should be looking to grow, and the only way to grow would be making sure that you know where your customers are coming from and which efforts are producing those, and using 80-20 rule, whatever you got to use, some sort of math equation to put more money into the areas that are resulting in more business, and then using that as the foundation for your growth. But the
Yeah.
only way you know that is by knowing where it's coming from in the first place. How do you know
Right.
what to do until you know what you did,
Great blunt force fact.
right?
Know what you did. Good
Should we wrap it
stuff.
up with the
Yeah.
5 steps here?
This was great. Go ahead. Let's wrap up with the 5 steps. Go.
We also might find the talking point in here as well. So step 1 was added midway through the podcast. Step 1 is make a list of everything, every way a customer comes to you. And that list needs to be evaluated on a semi-regular basis. Step 2 is have a CRM. You have to have a spot for this to be tracked. You have to have because I get this answer a lot. Do you know what CRM stands for?
Client resource management.
Yeah, something like that, or customer resource management. But the
Customer
idea is
resource
it's got to be some systematic way of keeping track of customers because this is where this data is going to live. So otherwise, you're not going to be able to run a report or get an
Mm-hmm.
idea, count it all up. If it's just on paper and pen everywhere, it's not going to, if it's just in your head, it's not going to work. Get a CRM. And then as part of that is to have this data in there, right? Have a field, mandatory field. How did you hear about our company? Or how did you hear about this product? It's a mandatory field. And then what you do is you take that list that created in step one, and that's the drop down, right? And that's the drop down. So it's not, you don't want to, you don't want people just typing in whatever because it could look different. And then you have to evaluate later. You've got Google advertising, Facebook advertising, saw a truck, billboard, newspaper ad, word of mouth, referral from doctor, whatever. It's all in there in the list. And now it's a mandatory field that the person who's doing the intake, whether it's you, receptionist, call center, is putting it in there. Or you're doing step 3, which is integration at every possible avenue. So if you are running a Facebook campaign, so I'm running a new type of Facebook advertising campaign right now with a cleaning contractor. And the first step was to make sure that the Facebook ad dumps into his CRM, that there is a workflow, an automated sequence of events that happens when that happens. It's tagged correctly in the CRM as a Facebook lead with the particular campaign that we're running, and that all the fields that the person has to answer in the Facebook ad map correctly into the CRM. And that's the same thing if you have a Google advertisement, whatever advertisement. If you can have what you might do if you're running like an offline campaign, you might see this on TV ads or on print ads, some sort of QR code. So when the person scans the QR code, now that sequence all happens automatically. Because to your point, people sometimes forget how they heard about you, or they might not
Right.
recall it.
Right.
They might say it incorrectly. Yeah. So that takes a lot of the guesswork out. So even though you're asking them, how'd you hear about us? You also know. So it's like, oh, I Googled you. Well, no, you filled out a Facebook form, or no, you were on Bing, or no, like whatever. So we know instead of just asking you. So there's the fail safe. Like we know because we tracked it as much as we possibly can. And this isn't
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but you integrate, right? So step 1,
Yeah.
make the list. Step 2, have a CRM where this is a field. Step 3, integrate wherever you possibly can. Step 4 is ask. Always ask. Add it as to the list of questions. And you might need to ask in a survey as well. To your point, you might have to have a survey every once in a while, like how did you hear about us? Because that will catch some of the gaps that happen. Or if there's multi points, right? So like Budweiser isn't asking their customers how did you find Budweiser? Because there's a Budweiser sign at every sporting event, on every competition, at probably Dancing with the Stars is sponsored by. It's like they're sponsoring everything. So little things like that might be difficult to attribute. We're talking mostly with a small business audience, but it might capture some areas where you might not have thought of, right? Or it might capture some of that multi-point. It's like, yeah, did they fill out a Facebook form? Yeah, but they found out from a friend. And then when they saw the ad, they clicked on it. You know what I mean? So it
Right.
can be
Right.
multiple points. And then the last part is just report and track, right? So now that we are doing all the work ahead of time, now we need to evaluate based on what we've done, how we did, what percentage of people came in because they saw the truck. Well, if people saw the truck with the sign on it, let's make sure our signage on the truck is good. You know what I mean? Like let's make sure that like that needs to be a priority. Like if it starts to wear off because of the environment, we have to make sure our trucks always look good because that's a way that people are finding out about us. Or that billboard, yeah, we got a few customers through it, but we paid so much money for that stinking billboard, like, and it only resulted in a couple. So like, it wasn't worth the investment. You know what I mean? So it's
Yep.
like
Yep.
that's how we find out that information. Or, you know what? Like, I feel like I'm just throwing money. I feel like every freaking other week, Google's taking $500 out of my account. Well, you made 20 times the money you put into that because all these people found out about you from that Google ad. Well,
Mhm.
let's double it. Let's take
Right.
$1,000 every other month, see if that
Yeah,
results
yep.
in triple the business, But that's how you make decisions going forward, is by doing this work ahead of time, making sure you get the attribution as correct as you possibly can. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes, but getting it as right as you possibly can could make all the difference in how you move forward.
I love it.
What are you,
Attributions, baby.
what are you going to do next, Brian? Without you, leave
I
working
wrote a
group,
list of the
leave that
things I
stinking
did.
networking group.
Yeah, I'm gonna pivot to my networking group, and I'm gonna do that kindly. Kindly, I'm gonna let the emotion of disappointment pass, and then pivot to a new group and maintain those relationships. I'm going to add in to our, whenever we have a new client consult, into the checklist, I'm going to add in a where do you find us drop down using the system that you just talked about. And I I'm going to commit, and you inspired me this today on our call. I'm going to commit to a 3-month Google campaign. I just need to put some thought to what lane I want to commit it to.
Which business
And
would be, the consulting business or for the
yes, and
okay.
I'm thinking business brokerage is the lane I wanna do a 3-month campaign to. I wanna see, I think it's very specific, it's identifiable, it's easy to target people who might be, thinking about their exit strategy, and we'll see what we can attribute to leads from that.
I've been in a couple of business meetings recently with potential acquisition targets or sales. Like, I've been in those rooms, and I always think about you, because I'm like, this broker is going to get a piece of this sale, but they have no idea what's going on in this conversation right here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
there's like this conversation is happening between the potential seller and the potential buyer.
Yep.
There's a lot of good questions being asked back and forth, and the broker's just like, well, and says something completely like that doesn't make any sense. Like, and the broker be like, "Well, answer a question that doesn't need to be answered." And I'm like, "Well,
I
like,
I,
I
one of
bet
the
you
things that
Brian's
make
better at this."
Yes, one of the things that makes us very good at it is that we're a full service consulting company doing brokerage. So all of the stuff that goes into how to evaluate, grow, and do all those things with the business is what we do. So we come to it with a really good understanding. Um,
So here we've done
eh,
we've developed the campaign right now. We're gonna target people who are looking to sell or buy a business,
yeah,
and then we're gonna be, as our differentiator is gonna be, we're consultants. I mean, like, we
that's it.
understand your business better than you do. And
Correct.
we're gonna take the time to understand it, so that when these questions come up, we have good answers and we can actually help you accomplish this.
That's it. I attribute my success today to you coming up with this topic, Patrick. That's my attribution. It's going in the checkbox.
Attribution, baby. I think attribution is a missing link for a lot of businesses. I don't think enough businesses, especially
100%.
the smaller you are, the more you are like the contractor. You're like a freaking,
Mm-hmm.
I do plumbing. You just have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. Word of mouth.
Yeah,
The fuck does
I
word of
agree,
mouth
and
mean?
this was a very
Like, what
eye-opening
the fuck does word of
conversation.
mouth mean? Like, who are
Right, right,
who
yeah.
is talking
People say
about
that
your
all the
business?
time. I get most of my business word of mouth with, like, Rocky yelling out the window in, Rocky 1.
And how
Um,
scalable is that? What if your customers die?
right, right.
Or what happens is, I have this landscaping company who I just onboarded, right? And they're like luxury landscaping, landscape design, big projects. These young kids are coming in and freaking eating up all the new clients because they're
Yeah,
aggressive. So your word of mouth starts to die. And
yeah.
sometimes you don't, word of mouth is one of those things that can go away real quickly, especially if like you're in like a referral relationship, like one of these networking relationships. And all that has to happen is someone else has to come in with a better offer or better relationships. And now, if you're not paying attention to the drop in business or the drop in
Mhm,
referrals from a certain source,
mhm.
then you're going to get yourself into trouble. So tracking it is everything.
Yeah.
Not just having it in your head.
What's the blunt force fact again?
You can't know what to do next until you know what you did.
Great stuff. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Till next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this episode. If you found the information valuable, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you leave us a review. Next steps. Join our free Skool channel to find the worksheets and other resources associated with this episode. And when you're ready to take your business to the next level, it's time to join the Blunt Force Business Bold program. You can find the links to the Bold program and our Skool channel in the episode description. Thank you so much, and good luck with your business.